how much will 100,000 Jasmy be worth during this bull run? Now, to answer that question, we have to assume a hypothetical scenario, which is, let's say Jasmy going to the price of $1. Now, of course, at that point, 100,000 Jasmy would be worth $100,000. Now, of course, nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, but do I think $1 is realistic for Jasmy during this bull run? Yes, because first of all, I think Jasmy is that special, and also on top of that, I don't think going to the price of $1 is this tough or like Herculean task, so to speak. I mean, we got to take a look at this, right? For instance, if Jasmy were to go to the price of $1, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $50 billion. Now, I get it. That's around a 53x from here. Some people think, oh yeah, that's kind of caca, all this type of stuff. But come on, right? This isn't such a crazy market cap in the grand scheme of things. We've seen BNB reach over $100 billion in market cap. We've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap. So this isn't that ridiculous. And more specifically, if we take a look at BNB, I just don't get what's so special about it, really, because you take a look at how, for instance, right, back in 2023, that year, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened, according to Crypto.com research, actually occurred on the BNB smart chain ecosystem. So you got to think about that. And still, even despite that, BNB at one point reached over $100 billion in market cap. Kind of crazy to think about. So something like, let's say, Jasmy can't go to around 50 billion. No, I don't think it's too crazy to ask for. At least that's the way I view it. And it's not like it's focused on the wrong thing or the focus on the wrong market. No, I mean, come on, right? It's focused on the right market, the data storage market. That market size is predicted to be worth nearly $800 billion by 2030, according to Fortune Business Insights. So yeah, they're not focused on a bad thing. And keep in mind, when you take a look at Jasmy as well, it's not a project that's going to disappear when the fans or hype are gone. No, that's not the case whatsoever, because it's not a meme coin. It's not a project based off hype. It's not focused on partnering up with celebrities, actors, all this type of stuff. No, that's not the case. We see other projects that are focused on stuff like that, right? But then we don't really know how long they're going to be around for. But when it comes to Jasmy, I believe that it has an amazing long-term future because its future, again, isn't dependent on hyper fans. At least that's the way I view it. And the amazing thing about Jasmy is that it's one of the early players. You got to think about how many projects out there, they could care less about the data storage market. They're focused on becoming like meme coins, AI projects. Don't get me wrong, right? I do love some AI and meme coins as well. I love them, right? Some projects related to that. But I think oftentimes people are ignoring this sector when it comes to data storage because you got to think about how when it comes to decentralizing data storage, there really isn't, again, that many projects that are focused on it. Jasmy doesn't have many great competitors. It has Filecoin, which people often consider like the big dog. But I think that Jasmy has like a very popular fan base in terms of like, it's very well known. Also on top of that, it has great brand awareness. And even though it may not have like the size, I would say, in terms of like Filecoin, in terms of its established nature, but I think in terms of the fans, I think it's a lot more passionate. And also on top of that, I think the community feels just a lot more driven, if that makes sense. Now, again, we get Filecoin out of the way. We take a look at Arweave. Now, Arweave, I'm bullish on that, much like Filecoin as well. But Arweave doesn't really have a strong community. At least that's the way I view it. You also take a look at, for instance, something like Siacoin. It has an up-and-coming community, but again, the community is not really there. I would argue that Arweave is even better than that. Also, you take a look at Storage. Now, Storage, I think, has like probably the smallest community, but I think fundamentals are still amazing. But when you take a look at Jasmy, again, when it comes to the players that, kind of exist as of right now, the good ones, Jasmy doesn't really have too many great competitors, and that's going to benefit it, I think, especially in the long term. And also not even in the long term anyways. I think around 6 months from right now, a year from right now, when people are looking to FOMO into like these data storage projects, if there really isn't that many good options, Jasmy is going to be one of the ones that people pay attention to. And it's not like Jasmy has bad exposure or something like that. It's listed in a ton of major exchanges. It's very amazing. Now, some people out there think that this is not important, but I think it's super important. Hashtag super necessary. Hashtag, again, Jorge Masvidal. If you know, you know, because you take a look at why was Shiba Inu and Dogecoin so popular? People may think, okay, it's a meme coin example, but it's relevant here. And the reason why they were so popular is because they were literally listed in so many major exchanges to the point that everyone pretty much knew about it. And during a fully fledged bull run, people need easy access, right? They need something that's like easy to get again, and that can, of course, build the community, build the hype, build the attention. So when it comes to Jasmy, that's the fantastic thing about it. Now, the effects may not be showcased like instantly as we speak, but I think during a fully fledged bull run, it could be so amazing. And if you think about it, this is also like indirect advertising when it comes to Jasmy, even though it's not like direct. But again, right, people who take a look at these major exchanges, if they take a look at something like Jasmy, they're already typically more inclined to believe in cryptocurrency anyways, right? And then they take a look at Jasmy, that could be amazing. So when it comes to Jasmy, man, I think the future could be very bright, but it's just a matter of time. As of right now, yeah, sure, Jasmy hasn't reached the price of like 20 cents, 30 cents. I get that. But I think around a year from right now, things could be very different. Not to mention, you take a look at how, as of right now, the crypto greed and fear index, it's sitting at around neutral. So people are just waiting, right, to become bullish in a sense, because as of right now, a lot of people, they're 50-50. They're either bearish or they're very bullish. But this kind of reminds me of like near the end of 2020 type of vibes, because near the end of that year, people were kind of 50-50. They were like, they saw some projects bumping, some were not doing that best. And then they were like, okay, do we get in or not? As of right now, it's giving me that vibe. 2025, I feel like it's going to be like 2021 back then. You know what I mean? Currently, it feels like 2020. But I do believe that 2025 is going to be a special year for something like Jasmy and also other altcoins, because you take a look at Bitcoin. Man, I think it's just waiting to wake up in a massive way. Under 50,000, that wouldn't surprise me at all, because as of right now, things are just brewing. You take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, right? The number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. People are just waiting for that signal to really kick in. And also, not to mention, there's over 600 million crypto owners. So again, I think it's just a matter of time. But the only thing I can control is me waiting and me just believing in Jasmy, which is why I'm focused on that. I'm just continuing to dollar cost average, accumulate Jasmy, hold, and I just wait. That's it. Because again, quite frankly, that's the only thing I can control. And the amazing thing about decentralizing data storage, is the fact that typically it does, kind of remove all of the nonsense that is involved with centralized data storage. Typically centralized data storage is controlled by a single entity. There's these multiple single points of failures, and people just don't like that. So of course, the natural evolution is decentralization, where it removes all that type of stuff. But of course, it's not going to happen like tomorrow or next week. For mass adoption to happen, it's going to take some time, but it doesn't really matter, because during a fully fledged bull run, sometimes just the anticipation is already enough. You take a look at how there's many projects out there that are focused on gaming, the metaverse, NFTs, and in some cases, they never launch what they say they're going to launch. In some cases, they never launch their NFT project. They never launch a blockchain game. They never launch a metaverse. But then still, even despite that, just the anticipation of them, potentially even launching it in the future was already enough to have its native token just absolutely skyrocket. So when it comes to Jasmy, during a fully fledged bull run, let's say, right, even if, let's say, again, there isn't mass scale institutional adoption for something like it, I still think it could be enough. Again, just the anticipation, it could already be fantastic. So when it comes to Jasmy, I think it's very unique, doesn't have many good competitors. I think the bull run could be amazing. And also on top of that, going to the price of $1, the market cap wouldn't be all too crazy. So when it comes to Jasmy, it's really such a no-brainer pick for me. Now, some people out there, they like to say that, yeah, we're focused on meme coins, all this type of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I love some meme coins as well. But Jasmy, the potential upside feels like a meme coin in a sense. But then at the same time, it's not this ridiculously massive project that's going to have a very bad potential upside. What do I mean by that? You take a look at, for instance, right, when it comes to Jasmy, it's big enough to the point that it's not like, a very risky thing, so to speak, because yes, even though there are many small projects out there, like with a $1 million market cap, with a $100,000 market cap, that could potentially just absolutely dwarf Jasmy in terms of percentage increase, in terms of growth. I understand that. But naturally, inherently, right, because they're so small, because they're so unproven, the risk is very high. But when it comes to Jasmy, the risk doesn't feel that bad because, again, it's one of the most established projects out there. But then the room for growth still feels like it's there. It feels like it's one of the last of its kind, because typically when people take a look at Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, right, they take a look at, some of the other big projects out there, like for instance, like a BNB. Like, sure, they're very stable, they're kind of secure, but they can't do like over a 20x during this bull run, let alone over like a 40x. That's out of the question. I'm saying again, just during this bull run, I'm not talking about the long term. So instead of focusing on a major project like that that's already too established, I'd much rather choose something like Jasmy that's a little bit less established, but then it's established enough. But then at the same time, the room for growth still feels like it's there. So that's why I think that the room for growth feels like a meme coin, but then the fundamentals feels like an Algorand or like a Solana or like a Cardano. You know what I mean? At the price of $1 during this bull run, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. That's why I'm still believing in Jasmy. I'm not giving up, and I'm going to continue to dollar cost average because, again, at the price of $1, that wouldn't shock me at all during this bull run. And feel free to become a channel member if you want to get a prioritized response from me in the comments. You know, you can also use these cool badges and like stickers when you do comment, so I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, again, feel free to become a channel member if you want to. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.